So now he had 3 pills.
Right.
And he folded in some small and he said, open your hand, and he pressed it in. And keep it closed. So I kept it closed. After 4 or 5 seconds, it didn't feel like paper anymore. It felt smooth. And I opened. It was a Shivalingam.
I'm Sneha and I live in Pondicherry, and I interview Indians and expats and ask them questions about India and its culture. And if this kind of content interests you, please do subscribe to my channel. Let's go. In today's interview, I have Maria WIRTH from Germany, and she's been in India for the past 42 years. She loves India. She thinks it's the best country to live in, and she follows Hinduism. So let's find out more about her journey. Thank you so much for coming, Maria. Could you please introduce yourself a little bit? Where are you from and what are you doing in India, and your journey, how you came to India?
Well, thank you, Sneha, for calling me. And yeah, I am from Germany. And I studied psychology. Earlier, before I studied psychology, I was with Lufthansa. And
What were you doing at Lufthansa?
I had an internship for 3 years.
Okay.
It was like management, not flying, because I wanted to see the world. So I traveled from South America to Indonesia. And then I felt I didn't want my life to be set. And I got out and I studied. And on the side of my studies, I had a little business. I sold crêpes saucettes, so I made some money. And after finishing, I had the freedom to go again. And I wanted to go to Australia. And on the way, I stopped in India. And after 43 years, I'm still here.
Wow.
India, for me, what really impressed me was when I came to India, I realized there's so much wisdom here. And I was always a type who was searching, what is the meaning of life? What is important? And why I'm here. No? So in this way, India answered all the questions. So I'm very grateful to India.
And which year was it that you visited India the first time?
I came in 1980, and by chance, I had no idea what is a Kumbh Mela. And I landed up in Hardwar in 1980. There was a half Kumbh, Artha Kumbh was in April of 1980. And there I met Sri Ananda Mima and Dera Baba and so many other sages. And I had no idea. No? I was so blank. And then I realized, wow. And nobody knows about it. About India's wisdom. That means not actually when I was at university in the 70s, the books like Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi, they were in the bookshops. In the 70s, it was still, Indian wisdom was still there. But now it has completely disappeared. No?
Right.
I heard of it, but I didn't understand it.
So when you were in university, you were a little familiar about Indian wisdom or the teachings?
I knew about this concept of Maya, and I knew that it would be important not to think. And I remember we were teenagers when I was with my friend, and we were saying, now let's try not to think. And we both, and then I said, or she said, now I'm not thinking. And no, now you think that you are not thinking. So,
Yes.
And there was a book in the library in our house from Roland, and it was on India, and it was, but then I forgot. In my 20s, it left me. But then I had always this question, is there a God? And I couldn't believe in the Christian God anymore. I grew up as a Christian naturally. No? And then I felt Christian God can't be true. But then in physics once, I heard, I was 1670s for the first time, that now scientists are saying that all is one energy. There's nothing separate. And I remember thinking at that time, if there's a God, that must be it. But it was very abstract. And this is the difference when I came to India and I met Ananda Mima, and I had her darshan, and in her surroundings, I learned a lot. And then she was saying, all is one. Wherever you look only at Ishvara. There's no difference between you and me.
Right.
The senses deceive us. No? So but yeah, that is a very important point. She also said this oneness, this consciousness, this Ishvara, I mean, Brahman, and we would go too far, no? So Brahman has Sakuna and Nirguna, but Ishvara is, this is very loving also. And you also have to love it, no? Bhakti, develop bhakti for it. So this was a very different approach. It was not some abstract things that God is consciousness or so, but God is right now here.
So it kind of confirmed what you read in science, that all energy is one and that energy is God, when Ananda Mima said all is one.
But what I thought, it says a God, it must be said, it brought this oneness close somehow suddenly. No? It cannot be made really familiar. Ultimately, it is beyond thoughts. But in this Maya, which I also said I knew already as a child or as a teenager, and I remember also friends were making fun. You know, the Indians, they think that is all Maya. The table is not a table, you know. And now Elon Musk, he says we are living in a virtual reality. So it's not Elon Musk who discovered. He doesn't know who made it, but the Indian rishis. And the Indian rishis also know what is the cause for this.
And what is the cause for this?
The cause is that Brahman, and Brahman is an innate Shakti also. So when Shakti stirs, why we can't say, then the three gunas come.
Right.
Then the three devas come, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. This many people don't understand, and also the Abrahamic religions don't understand. And this is, I feel, very important. In Hindu Dharma, the devas are basically within Maya. We are all one, of course, even we now here, with the real truth, with Brahman. But as soon as we start thinking, we are in duality, in Maya. So, and of course, the Christian and Muslim God and Jewish God, they are, of course, also in Maya. They have biases, they have likes and dislikes. They don't like when you don't believe what one person said and so. So this, I feel, Hindus should make clear. And then it would be so clear that Hindu Dharma is top.
Right. So you were saying earlier, that from Brahman, Shakti stirs, and we don't know why, but then the manifestation comes about. And I've heard it a few times that it was just for the delight of Brahman. He's absorbed and in bliss, but wants to experience that same bliss through many forms and manifestation. So that's why this came about.
But
that's one.
the bliss we have to discover, because sometimes we feel, where is the bliss? No?
Of course, yes.
And when we look around in the world today, then you think, what's wrong? No?
Right.
So, but this is also your knowledge that how to discover that I am really Brahman. It's yoga.
Right.
And what is yoga? Patanjali Yoga Sutras, first sutra says, Chitta,
Yoga Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha.
Yeah. So to control the thought waves. It's not exercise, but it is to, basically to get down to the level where there's pure consciousness. Pure means no thoughts. Content-less, no content. And this is not so easy, but it's a challenge, no?
Right.
And it makes also, it gives us a purpose in life.
And this is one unique feature of Hinduism, you would say.
The most unique feature I find is that it has this absolute level.
Mm-hmm.
The absolute level where Vedas say no thoughts can reach, no words can reach.
Mm.
Brahman, Nirgun Brahman.
Right.
And it is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma.
Mm-hmm.
Sat, Chit, Ananda.
Yeah.
So as soon we are in the we are Brahman inside, but we are like actors on a stage, no?
Mm-hmm.
And we forget our true identity.
Yes.
And how to not forget? Yeah, sometimes to remind yourself whenever you are able to remind yourself, and sadhana.
Right.
So many different
So
ways.
yoga, sadhana is a way for us to go from Maya to the pure consciousness, to live in that pure awareness.
And especially Ananda Mima stressed bhakti very strongly.
Okay. And bhakti towards just the formless, or did Ananda Mima?
Bhagwan, Hari, you have an Ishtativa.
Right.
You choose somehow, no?
Okay.
It's very difficult to love something which you can't see. Anyway, Bhagwan, you can also see, but not imagine. Like every religion, Christianity and Islam and Judaism, they also have a picture of God. No? He sits up in heaven on a throne, and I don't know about Islam now. In this, or he is very, he's an enemy of his enemy, and so this kind of thing is there.
Okay.
And I am Hindu. We have Shiva, so Vishnu, avatars, Krishna, Ram, Devi, so many. No?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
So there are so many young Indian Hindu youth who don't really know much about Hinduism or necessarily practice or put an effort to understand and practice what it is. If you have a message for them, what would that be?
It was very disappointing for me when I was at a conference recently, and I asked some students, can you explain to me what is Hinduism? I am Christian. And after a while, one girl really said, Hindus worship many gods.
That's the only...
That is main, and this is nothing wrong against worshipping many gods. In fact, it is necessary even and good. But if you don't know, the source of everything has to be one. And when you just come from, we have the right to be polytheists. Some Hindus even get angry when I say stress the oneness of all. No? Why should we, conform to what the Abrahamics say and do? Why should we also have one God? We have many gods. No? Yeah, but you don't have many gods. You have one source.
Mm.
And this one source is, superior, can't say. It is a truth. Mm. There cannot be a separate God somewhere. And who made this world? Science also says now all is one. No? It makes so much more sense that there is something. We know that there is something. No? And it actually is a miracle that we know that we are. No? So, and this is consciousness. And I heard a very nice example once about the importance of consciousness. But usually we don't take it serious even. It's so natural, so ordinary, our consciousness. But imagine, Bhagwan comes to you and he offers you whatever you wish. Mm-hmm. Money, whatever. But there's only one condition. You won't be conscious. Will you accept?
No. I think I would probably want the love of the Bhagwan more than anything. just...
Yeah, but anything what you want, let's say even you get the love of Bhagwan, but you are not conscious.
I think consciousness has to be involved with the love. If it is separate, then how would I feel it?
Yeah, consciousness is the basis. No?
Yes.
And the rishis say this is really the basis. And this we should stress also. And somebody who has a little bit of understanding, he would understand also, no?
Mm-hmm.
That this is the most important thing.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay, so you had mentioned that when you came to India, you met Ananda Mima, Dera Baba. Could you talk about any special experiences you may have had with them? Because I have grown up seeing pictures of Ananda Mima, and she emanates such peace and such joy, Ananda. I feel like she's an embodiment of Ananda. So what was your experience in her presence? Anything that stands out, like people like us who couldn't have a darshan of her would be happy to know?
Oh, actually, not really in this sense. I was struggling, I was young at the time, and it was still a hippie time, no? And then in Ananda Mima's surroundings, there were very beautiful dressed sari, jewelry, no? The ladies were there and all. And I felt I didn't fit in, really, no? So, and I didn't have the language also. She said only once something, she stopped, she was being carried and she asked him to stop, and just in front of me, and she told me, all one. I mean, it was just what also was so important for me, no?
Yes.
She said, all one, and then she said, did you have your food? Go and have your food. So this was the only thing, but sometimes I had really this feeling, does she love me also? Mm-hmm. No? I mean, people were saying in her surroundings, Bhagwan is coming through to her. She has no ego, so it's Bhagavan basically which comes out. And sometimes this feeling came, I know that you love those people, but do you love me also? So this was one, but once I remember I was waiting for darshan and we were singing Hanuman Chalisa. It was in Dehradun. And there was a 10-year-old girl was sitting next to me and she was out of tune. And she also clapping was also out of tune. And somehow, I wrote it in my book actually, I felt so much love for her. And it was really flowing out from me. No? I felt her next to me and it was wrong, but somehow I felt lots of love for her. And then just Ma came out from her room and she went to her cot in front. And on the way, she stopped. She was helped by a girl and she stopped and turned and looked at me in a kind of irritated way. No? So, I mean, and then when she was sitting, again she looked at me, and even so long that the 2-3 women behind me, they were making comments. No? And what I felt was that she has seen that love, you know.
That you had for the singing out of tune.
She doesn't see us as persons. We all want to be seen as person. No?
Yeah.
We all want to be more of, she should give us a little bit more love than our neighbor. I mean, it's so natural and human, but I really felt at that time it was a love which had attracted her. No? So this was one example. But sometimes I think we don't really know also the powers of very ordinary sadhus.
Yes.
Should I tell you a little example?
Absolutely.
I was at Kumbh Mela in 2021, again in Hardwar. There was Shivaratri on 11th of March, I remember. Because of this pandemic, there were not so many people there. And I was standing on the roadside with some people, quite a number of people, but not very many. And the Akharas came.
The Agharas?
The Juna Akhara, Naga Sadhus. The first one was the Naga Sadhus. And one Naga Sadhu, only with ash, he stopped in front of me and said, 100 rupiah de do, give me 100 rupee. And I gave him 100 rupee and he marched on. Then soon after, somebody with orange, he stopped in front of me, 100 rupiah de do. well, normally I don't give everybody 100 rupee, no? But it was Shivaratri and it was
the
sadhus. And so I opened my purse and I gave him 50 and 20. I didn't have 100. So he said, 30 are missing. And I said, look, I don't have 100, I have only 200, can you give back? मैं दे दूंगा, I will give. So I gave him 200 also. So now he had 3 bills.
Right.
And he folded in some small and he said, open your hand, and he pressed it in. And then he said, close your hand. And somehow I opened it quickly again. I don't know why. And the paper became big again. And then I told you, keep it closed. So he folded it again. Pressed it in.
Did you see what that paper was when it became big?
Yeah, it was money.
Oh, was it 3 bills together?
Yeah. No, the 3, they opened up, like naturally they would open up when you fold them. And
it was the bills that you gave him?
Yeah, and the pressure, That's why I was happy that actually I did open my hand, because otherwise I thought maybe I was distracted and I did not know. So he put it in again and said, keep it closed. So I kept it closed. After 4-5 seconds, it didn't feel like paper anymore. It felt smooth. And I opened. It was a Shivalingam.
Ooh.
A Spatik Shivalingam.
And it just transformed in your hand.
I have no idea where the money is. I have no idea. I was so stunned, and the one woman from Gujarat was next to me, a family, and she went a few steps back. She said, "Oh, I'm frightened like this." And I don't remember what he said. We talked a little, but I just don't remember. And I probably couldn't have taken a photo, but I didn't think of anything, and we walked on. And I was wondering if the first sadhu, if I wouldn't have 100. It was so amazing, no?
Yeah.
And the strange thing, next day I go to an ashram, and at the entrance of the shops there were some pouches with exactly the same Shivalingam. Little big bit. It's a small Shivalingam, only about this size. And so I asked the price, 160 rupee.
Oh.
He gave just back, no? He had 270, he wanted 100.
Yes, that is crazy.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah. Nice.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
I told a cousin.
I've heard about such things happening, but I never viewed one.
It was my own hand, and I don't tell lies.
Yes.
And I told a cousin of mine, and he also said, incredible, no? What is, and it is possible.
Yes.
And I think, I think that in the West, people are more open towards this and more researching on this and also studying the yogis than in India. In India, they made people so much brainwashed almost to look down on their tradition and think, oh, it's not really true. It is, they are all, how to say, imposters, and even people, when I give sometimes a sadhu some money, don't give. No? We should be a little bit more open, and there are many things which are possible and which are actually not possible, no? Which we think.
Right.
So I feel in this way.
That was a very beautiful experience that you shared. Thanks for that. And with Dera Baba, have you had any special experiences? And could you tell me a little about him, because I haven't heard about him?
I don't also know so much, because it was in 1980, just when I came. I knew nothing. But I was sitting at the Ganga, and an American who stayed also in the tourist bungalow where I stayed, he came across the Ganga from a hut and came and said, "Do you want to see an extraordinary, exceptional person? Then you come with me, and there is some Baba who is more than 300 years old." So I said, "Yeah, of course, no?" And the Ganga was very strong, actually. This American, he was more than 2 meters. I was quite fortunate, no? So that he had me along. And when we reached Dera Baba was, how to say, he was, I can't think of the German word, angry, scolding us. He was scolding us. "You must not go through this, it's far too dangerous. Use a bridge 2 kilometers away. No? You have." So then he was repeating a mantra, Shri Krishna Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane, and made us repeat. And the American, he was lying down in the sand, and I also knew I couldn't do this really, no? So I just, I didn't really know. And
okay. And that was the only time you met him?
No, I met him daily. Okay. There was only one thing what I noticed, I really loved him.
Oh.
Yeah, when I came back to my room, I was looking forward to see him tomorrow again. Mm-hmm. Almost as if you're in love with somebody, no? And when I said, how is this possible? But such an old man, and he really looked old, no?
He looked
Yeah, he looked. I mean, there is a lawyer in Allahabad, in Prayagraj, who said, I think seven generations of his family have visited him. Even the first president of India, Rajendra Prasad, he also said 3 generations. And once, we didn't go through the Ganga again, no? But on the way back we did. But once I got a lift from an old gentleman, I was young at the time, now I'm old, and he told me that when he was a small boy, his grandfather told him that when he was a small boy, Dera Baba was already an old man.
Oh.
So we don't know.
So many people are...
As a way, he was very much involved in the Ram Mandir issue, I think. Oh. And he left his body in 1990.
Okay.
In fact, I came to know here in Pondicherry, I was in the darshan line for food, and then 3 young men in front of me, they talked, that he left his body.
Oh.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So, and were these two like your main gurus in India, or you?
I think they were most influential in the sense that they showed me the wisdom and they put me on the way to sadhana. And for 7 years I was traveling without having a guru, because I was a little frightened of having a guru. And then I had 2 gurus and I left both of them. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know. I thought a lot about this guru. When now, of course, in my age, the gurus look so young, no? So it is also not this reverence there. Anyway, earlier when I thought, my God, he has meditated for 30 years, 40 years, no? He must be enlightened. Now I have meditated for 40 years, so and I know I'm not enlightened. No? I have learned a lot, and I'm grateful, very grateful to India. And but this, I sometimes think maybe the veneration is not needed to be too much.
Towards a human guru.
Yeah, towards a human guru.
It's
the main
guru
is inside.
Yeah.
And but I really felt also the human gurus, they were very important. And it had to be, whatever happens in your life has to be, and also mistakes you make and what. So
nice. So आप थोड़ा हिंदी बोलते हो?
मैं समझ सकती तो काफ़ी, लेकिन इतने ठीक से नहीं बोलती हूँ सकते, क्योंकि जब मैं सोचती हूँ अभी मैं हिंदी बोलना एंड आप भी इंग्लिश समझते हैं, फिर मेरी हिंदी बहुत मुश्किल चलती है। जब मैं लोग जो इंग्लिश नहीं समझते हैं, फिर मैं सिर्फ बोलती हूँ या
बट आप काफ़ी अच्छा बोल रहे हो और आप देहरादून में रहते हो ना, तो वहाँ पे आप शायद हिंदी में बात करते हो।
लेकिन मैं अकेले रहती हूँ, फिर मैं बहुत नहीं बातचीत करते हैं। मैं इसलिए वो आई एम अ राइटर बेसिकली ना, लेखिका। And with writing, I feel comfortable. With talking, it's not so easy for me. And for long, I didn't talk also. And even on Twitter, people said, oh, some Indian is saying a German name. I mean, they thought I'm not a real person. because I never showed up. No? So then in 2016-17, I started,
I'm glad you started, because there are so many beautiful things to say, and these days people don't read as much. People consume more content on video format, so for them also it's important to know about the work that you're doing, about your research, about your life. here in India.
Yeah, if you Google maria.com, there are many articles and they express it much better than what I say. Like
I will leave a link under the video. Please do check out the website. I've read some blogs before the interview and they were really clear and very knowledgeable. So definitely go through them. And I want to ask you a little about Indian culture. So coming from Germany to the India in 80s, how was your experience?
Well, as I said, I had traveled already a lot. I was in South America, I was in Indonesia, I was in Thailand, and so it was not so
shocking.
Yeah, it was not so strange, or how to say. So in this way, I always loved warm countries, of course. I mean, coming from Northern Europe. So this was easy, but I had never, even when I stayed on in India, I asked Dera Baba. That was my only interaction actually with him. I told him that I would like to stay longer in India, longer than the tourist visa allows me. So I didn't speak any Hindi at the time. So he had his sadhus around him. There was one sadhu with a lot of hair piled up. And he translated. Baba talked, said something, and then he translated, Baba gives you his blessings. Then Baba talked again with him quite long, and with hand and feet, and I couldn't understand. And then he turned and only said one sentence, Baba gives you his special blessings.
Oh, sweet. And you've been in India
yeah, and
for 40 years.
And I hoped I get my citizenship also. I have applied for Indian citizenship.
Right.
You are so lucky. If you are born in India, you are so lucky, and you should know it also. And if you look to the West, what's happening there now? I mean.
Yeah, you had mentioned in a post that India is right now one of the sanest countries to live in.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a little bit why?
Now, well, you must have heard about the woke culture now. In woke culture, it's not really a culture in America, especially, and it's coming into Europe also.
Also a bit into India.
Yeah, it's coming a bit into India, unfortunately. Then this whole sexualization of children is happening now in schools even. And they try to push it, and I really feel there's an attempt to dump human beings down, to make them more stupid. I mean, not more, but to make them, they should not be intelligent in a sense and question.
So then they can't think on their own.
Yeah, and especially also not to have this connection to your Atma. This, I mean, the very famous, hyped up historian Yuval Noah Harari. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I've tried reading one of his books. I didn't get through much, but they're quite popular.
He's very feted at the World Economic Forum and so on. He actually said, I heard him say it on a video, now when artificial intelligence is coming up, consciousness is not needed, intelligence is needed. And the robots are far more intelligent than us. And he said also at another place, what do we do with all these useless humans? Yeah. Now, because jobs are much more efficiently done by robots, he said, it's on YouTube, it's I think even on YouTube, we can keep them busy with drugs and computer games.
Oh.
And then you also know, now it's not so much in the talk, but earlier that they want to put us into a meta universe, no?
Yes.
Facebook changed to Meta, and Meta universe, that we have, we live in a virtual reality. But now this is already a virtual reality.
Right.
So it makes us one level further away from the truth. And I feel this is now the most important thing, and that's why I also stress this absolute truth so much. Absolute truth is not something abstract. It is that what is alone is really real.
No? And you feel India still preserves it a little bit.
It's not only it's in us.
Yes.
And India still knows about it. But we have never known. Also, Brahman religions, they don't know, they don't acknowledge. Maybe the Pope knows. He has it in his library. He has many Indian texts, I'm sure, in his library. Even a friend, she worked in Munich University Library and main library, and she said one famous king in Bavaria, King Ludwig II, he has the second, he had Upanishads in his library.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he was practicing Christian too, the king?
Mm-hmm. Probably. He was maybe murdered or suicide. It was a... So, but at that time, when the Indian knowledge came, it was very much appreciated 200 years ago by German philosophers also. No?
I've heard recently somewhere that there are more people learning Sanskrit in Germany right now than in India. Is it true?
I don't think we have about 14 institutes. Not really Sanskrit universities, but in an university. So I think India is more, but you should be very wary. Sometimes I think people are so happy, no? Oh, look, Germans learn. They have made you to look down on Sanskrit, on everything what is written in Sanskrit, the British. No? And now it's slowly coming out, that you are coming out of this. The Germans, I tell you a quote of Heinrich Heine. He's a famous writer in Germany 200 years ago. And he said, we Germans, we have to watch the ships of the British, the Portuguese, the Dutch pass our Germany, going to their countries with all the treasures of India, with the gold and this, no? But we Germans, we won't be left behind. We will take their knowledge.
Oh.
And our Sanskrit scholars in Bonn and Munich will provide us this knowledge. So, and you know that German scientists were top in the 20s, 30s. And after the war, there was an Operation Paperclip by the Americans, and they took some 700 to 1,000 German scientists, washed them clean of Nazism, took them to America, and the NASA program, everything is
being run by them.
Was run by them, yeah. So be wary and you study. Even in the 1980s, I was in Buddha Party at the time, and I met a German from one Dortmund or Düsseldorf University, I don't remember. And he said he has a 2 years grant, a 2 years project in India to study ancient Indian texts, not for spiritual issues, but for scientific clues.
Oh.
So, and
Germany wants to use Indian ancient knowledge.
We have used it. And look, you can, a manuscript you can make disappear. A statue is not so easy, no?
Yes.
But you take the knowledge, and it's not only Germany. There was once a professor in Tübingen in 1839. He gave a talk. I saw it on at the occasion of some birthday of some emperor. And he said, our university is very fortunate because recently a missionary has come from India, and he gifted to the university 11 volumes of ancient Indian texts.
A missionary.
A missionary, yeah. And this is a great treasure for our university, but of course it's nothing compared to the treasure which is in the London House in India House in London.
So they have a lot more manuscripts and
not
wisdom.
Only Upanishads, not only on philosophy. So
Okay.
It's sad, no? It's very sad.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see like a lot of us Indians get very happy when Westerners are taking interest in our culture and reading about it, but we don't try to see the end picture as to how they are going to use it or what is the ultimate
not everybody is really, I mean, I feel so much on the side of Bharat, of India. I don't know why. I always pushed out from Germany. I don't know, so it was,
Okay.
But I think also this is now one point. Now, since India is waking up, especially in the last 10 years and even since 15, 20 years, slowly in the beginning, Internet Hindu, you don't remember, you're too young, in 2005 or so, they talked about Internet Hindu and ridiculed it in media. No? So that suddenly Hindus speak up for Hinduism. How can they, how dare they, such a superstitious religion. No? And ever since, the attacks on India are growing. Now it's dismantling Hindutva, it's eradicating Hinduism. It has to do something with it. Because
the evils of caste in India.
Yeah, and I think they are frightened, of course, once that India will overtake them, economically also, because in the ancient texts there may be still a lot of clues. And if Indians, they are more easy with Sanskrits than foreigners. So this is one point. But the second point also is my impression that what I said about Harari, that they want to cut us off of Atma. And this knowledge is only here.
It is still preserved here.
This is probably the more important point. They don't want common people to know that the truth is in them, in oneself, that one can touch it also. And this, I think, is, yeah.
This brings to my next question. I wanted to ask you, what do you think is India's role in contributing to the world and to the future? Would you say it's...
I just wrote an article regarding Ram Mandir, and I really feel India is on the side of the Devas, in this Maya. And there are certain countries even which are on the side of Asuras.
So Devas and Asuras are like gods and the...
And demons. Yeah, so, and this fight is eternally on somehow. And at present, it really seems the Asuras are on upswing. They have got some boon, maybe, from Shiva. But I feel India has a big role to play, and especially because of this knowledge of Atma. And provided Hindus can also bring back those who went out of the Hindu fold, because otherwise there's too much strife. They will be indoctrinated to look down on Hindu Dharma because they don't know anything about it.
Recently I was discussing about this with a friend, that the conversions are progressively increasing. Like there are so many missionaries who come with an agenda, and very calculated manner, in a very calculated way, they convert people. They do research, what do people in this village need, and then they give those things. So when I was talking about it, this friend said, yes, some Indians are getting converted, but so many Europeans are converting to Hinduism without us putting any effort. So it's kind of balancing it out, is what he was saying. What do you think about it? Is there a truth in it, or?
Yeah, many things are taken, like yoga is taken, belief in rebirth is taken, but this touching Atma may not be so much, they may not be aware of it. Because I feel even yoga has been kind of, put down a little. It is now about wellness. It's not about self-realization.
Yes, it's about getting peace, staying healthy, in shape.
Exactly. And this is not the goal of yoga. And this is important to realize. And Hindus still know it. Maybe not everybody, but many. So Westerners, it is for them more wellness. They take to yoga, they take to belief in rebirth. Many Christians lose faith in Christianity. And they are on the like atheists or spiritual but not religious. But they also often don't want to associate with Hinduism, because the missionaries have very cleverly separated this spirituality from Hinduism. And Hinduism is this caste system and polytheism and what say sati, and it is very unfair somehow.
Got it.
Yeah.
But also, like, Sanatana Dharma believes that whoever is following their true Dharma are on the path, even if they call themselves a Hindu or not. So people, even if they don't associate themselves necessarily with like, okay, I'm following Hinduism, but they're trying to follow their own truth, and eventually if it leads to Atman, they are following, and it doesn't...
Of course, if you follow your conscience,
yes,
that is the main thing. And then you will be guided also. Like there was a Christian mystic in 12th century, 13th century, Meister Eckhart, and he is talking plain Advaita. The eye with which I see God is the same eye which God is seeing me, something like this. And he was excommunicated. Excommunicate means thrown out of the church. So this is the difference. The Western philosophers, they intimately connect consciousness with its content. They cannot imagine pure consciousness. It cannot be imagined also, of course, but they cannot really think that something like pure consciousness is possible. So they are on a different level. And at least you know, many of you also don't know because you have also been brainwashed in your education. Maybe not you, but many. So you also have to find back, like I found back. I was 29, 30 when I discovered this only. No? So I think sometimes when you grow up in this, it's easier. But then when you come from outside, maybe you can see also clearer what is really important. If the devas have to win, we have to do our bit.
Okay. Thank you so much for such a beautiful conversation. It was very happy to have you. And I feel I, as a Hindu, have so much to learn from you and learn how to live the Dharma fearlessly. That is the main takeaway for me.
And I am very grateful to India.
Yeah. And I hope you inspire other people to do the same.
Yeah. And I hope I get my citizenship.
I hope so too.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.